Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite back at you with a couple of very interesting updates from the news that's currently infesting my television set right now and my internet. First is, and I'm going to quote probably one of the most famous economists that ever really did live, and I'd put him in the same category as Will Rogers and Mark Twain, and that's Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman once said that a debt is always paid. And as odd as that may sound, he is absolutely 100% correct. If I borrow money from you and I pay it back, I paid the debt. If I borrowed money from you and didn't pay you back, you paid the debt. You see how that works? Well, that's what's going on with the student loan nonsense that President Biden just announced yesterday afternoon, where he is, by executive order, going to forgive $10,000 of student loans for folks that make less than $125,000 a year. And if you took out a Pell Grant, you may be eligible to get $20,000 forgiveness. Well, not paying back a debt, that's forgiveness, I guess, but somebody pays for that, and that somebody is you and me. Stick around, I've got more. Biden's loan forgiveness program plan appears to have been based in a campaign promise that he made while he was campaigning to be president from his basement or whatever he was doing. I wouldn't necessarily call it campaigning, but he did make that promise that he would come up with something to forgive student loans or cancel student loans, and it sounds like he's figured out how he wants to do that by announcing what he announced yesterday. It's a slap in the face to folks that are reasonable and responsible. I had to take out student loans when I went to college. My wife had to take out student loans when she went to nursing school. My daughters had to take out loans so that they could go to school, and my son took out a student loan when he went to college. My daughters were diligent enough to figure out how to pay those loans back, work off the credit, and do all that kind of stuff. See, nursing, sometimes both of my daughters are nurses as well. There generally is a way that you can get certain loan forgivenesses or lower interest rates and things like that if you commit to a sponsor like a hospital or a group of doctors or whatever, that if you work for them for X number of months or weeks or years or however it works, that certain portions of your student loan debt gets paid off, gets forgiven. And that was the deal that I think both my daughters signed up for. My wife had a pretty straightforward non-NTA loan, which I hope that she really had an NTA loan, but she didn't. But it was a kind of a personal loan from her bank that her dad took out for her so that she could pay for the tuition at the nursing school where she went. And she and I ended up paying off that debt over quite a long period of time. Probably took us 10 years. And I had to pay off some student loans that I took out when I went to college. And, you know, that's just what you did. You made a promise to fulfill a contract. They gave you money towards your college tuition, and you agreed to pay it back. So there's a quid pro quo, and it seemed to work out. And I worked hard all my life, and we ended up paying that back. My sons as well, because he never really did get on board with paying debts. But like I said, Milton Friedman really understood the issue, because all debts are paid. Whether it's the borrower or whether it's the lender, all debts are paid. And you know who's paying for this one? The hard-working people that have already paid off their student loan debts. The hard-working people that didn't go to college, that went to trade school, that learned a trade, that became plumbers and electricians and taxi cab drivers and truck drivers and all that. That's who's paying for the wealthy's kids to get student loan forgiveness. Some of the questions that always need to be asked in this is, so what's next? Well, what about the kids that are juniors and seniors in high school now, getting ready to plan to go to college, and they go take out a student loan? What happens to them if they take the loan out after this program goes into effect? They didn't think about that. They didn't think about the gross unfairness. I've seen way too many folks that are patting themselves on the back for being responsible, for paying off their debts, doing all kinds of creative and wonderful things. The side gigs that they used to pay off their student loans and record time and all that, I got to give those people credit, and they just got slapped in the face by this administration and this crazy vote-buying scheme. The other fun stuff that's going on in the news today is that we are supposed to hear back from the Department of Justice and the FBI about the redactions that they want to impose on the affidavit for the raid on Trump's residence at Mar-a-Lago, Florida. I suspect that we're going to see just a big piece of paper with nothing but blackout on it, that there will be very, very little that the DOJ and the FBI will allow to be released to the public, because I think they've got something to hide. And we'll find out what it looks like. But I see a delaying tactic coming into play here. And that delaying tactic is that the DOJ and the FBI are going to redact this thing like crazy. The affidavit's just going to look like a big piece of black paper. And then the judge is going to get it, and he's going to say, well, no, we can't be doing that. So he's going to order them to go redo it again, or he's going to take it by the bull by the horns, and remove some of the redactions himself, so that the public can really get a good idea of what was the causal factors in the reasons for the raid. Now, at the same time, I believe over the weekend or maybe Monday, Donald Trump's legal team filed a motion in court to have a special master appointed to oversee the security of the documents, what documents can get returned, what documents were considered executive privilege under the Presidential Document Act. And I haven't heard, I don't know if you have, but I haven't heard whether that motion has been accepted, if it's going to go through. I'm pretty sure that the DOJ and the FBI legal team is going to file whatever you do to disagree with it and get it tossed out. And I think they may have already started that process. So, but we're not at the end of this yet. It's almost September, and within a few short weeks, we're going to be having the midterm elections. And while it may appear to the Democrats that carrying this thing out with the Mar-a-Lago raid is going to benefit them, I think it really does nothing but put Donald Trump in a position where he and his endorsed candidates for the 2022 midterm elections will prevail and prevail greatly. I see the left is patting itself on the back because they've seen a couple of numbers that in the polls that kind of point in their direction. I don't think that's going to happen. It's my belief that the House will be under Republican control with the next session of Congress, and that the Senate will be, but it will be a pretty thin margin. So we'll have to see how all this is going to play out. Today's going to be an interesting day to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on, and to bear in mind that we're heading into September and October. So September is the month that generally most big businesses end their fiscal years. So there will be reports, speculation about how well they did in the current fiscal year. Some are going to do okay, some are not going to do so okay, and there's going to be a lot of pushing and shoving right at the end of September and in the beginning of October. And I think if we look at historical patterns, we find that a lot of really bad things happen in the stock market in late September and in October. The crash of 29, the 2008 crash, you name it, there's any time that the market has taken a dip, it loves to circle around the end of September and October time period. So keep your belts on, put on suspenders to hold your pants up, and take it as it comes. Be prepared. Spend the money that you got extra that's not doing anything good, and purchase tangibles. And it doesn't really matter if it's food, water, cooking utensils, stoves, refrigerators, freezers, solar generators. Do what you need to do to make sure that you're going to be as prepared as you can, because I see that there's going to be some trouble ahead. This is the Prepared Suburbanite, reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.